What are 5 things you've already accomplished that you're proud of? Next question. What do you desire in the next 10 years? I want you to construct a list of at least 50 items. Now, this is not about what you believe you can get. It's about what you actually desire. If everything came into place and you could have anything in the next 10 years, what would be on that list? Not something you think you can earn by or eventually obtain through success. This is about what would actually fulfill you. I want you to write this list. And here's the deal. Write each item one under the other, not side by side. Make the list as long as possible within the time allotted. One beneath the other, because we're going to work with this list once you finish. Just start writing as rapidly as you can. Abbreviate where feasible to make your list lengthier. If something is private, code it so no one can figure it out if they view your list. One item after another, as soon as you can. Just let your dreams run free. Not what you believe you can obtain, but what you want. If everything aligned perfectly, what would you have in the next 10 years? It can be simple things, huge things, or even seemingly inconsequential things. Just write them down. Places you want to visit. I've gone to many countries, but I still have a lengthy list of places I haven't been. Last year, I checked Cyprus off my list. What nations haven't you been yet that you'd wish to see in the next 10 years? What cities? I've toured the world and been all around Italy, but I've never been to Venice. So, it's on my list. I haven't traveled to Egypt or Saudi Arabia either. You may think I've been everywhere after 39 years, but not yet. What experiences do you want in the following 10 years? Skydive from a plane. Star in a movie. Play in a rock band. Win an Olympic gold medal. Start a family. Try a new sport. What do you want for your children? People. That's a full list by itself. Education, places to take kids. What new talent would you wish to learn in the next 10 years? When I started learning new talents at 25, my life transformed. I learned sales and multiplied my income 5-fold in 1 year. I learned to hire good people and raised my revenue again. I learned organization, advancement, and rewarding others. Small increments of growth made my income surge. Maybe you wish to conduct seminars or write books in the next 10 years. Some goals will happen immediately, others farther down the line. Benevolence goals. Maybe you have causes you'd love to help. This isn't about what you believe you can do. It's about what you'd actually love to do. Mark Hughes had a passion for helping youth with drug problems. 1 year, he contributed $8 million. When I initially met him, he couldn't give $100, but later he gave $8 million. Andrew Carnegie once stated, I'm going to spend the first half of my life making money and the second half giving it away. That's big time thinking. In the first half of his life, he made $400 million, a fortune in those days. Guess what he did with the second half? He gave it all away. So keep your list going. What excites you? Maybe you've been uninspired till now. I want you to turn your lights back on. You wouldn't believe what you can do if you genuinely work on this list. It's funny. Adults struggle with this activity, but kids don't. Kids would be asking for extra paper by now. They'd remark, wait, you mean anything I want in the next 10 years? Yes, anything. Write it all down. Crazy dreams included a cabin in the mountains, a personal chef, a chauffeur. What about your investments, your properties? One of my goals was to be financially independent. We'll talk about that later. My father taught me early on to be debt-free. My parents lived like way, and when I inherited their estate, all the land, houses, buildings, cars, guess how much was owed? 0. Not a penny. Everything was totally owned. That's a tremendous feeling, knowing no one has a claim on anything you possess. Maybe you want to be in the top 10 wealthiest people. Is Bill Gates still number 1? Maybe top 10, top 20, whatever thrills you. Maybe you're working on an invention. Congratulations! Who knows what's possible? Make a list of your health goals. You need a strong physical foundation for the next 10 years. What level of health do you want? Eliminate illnesses. Strengthen your body. Compete at a high level. One of my aims was to have a home for every season. I eventually checked that off. Winter here, summer there, autumn in one area, spring in another. Maybe you want an apartment in Manhattan, a ranch in Brazil. What would truly fulfill you? What are your career or business goals? I even put a little revenge on my first list. Some people claimed I wouldn't make it, so I couldn't wait to drive up in my new car, park it on their lawn, and say, "Oh, pardon me. Here's the money to fix it. I had some big dreams on my list." What about you? What would give you an incredible sense of achievement? Satisfaction. The Old Testament God states, "Vengeance is mine, all mine." No surprise he wants it all, because it feels so good. If I were God, I'd want it all too. But what would really do it for you? Some scores to settle, gently but deliberately. My Japanese friend, Toro Ikata, from San Jose, California, put a Caucasian gardener on his top list. I thought, hey, that's a good one, Toro. What would truly do it for you? A hobby. Maybe you'd like to start collecting, or perhaps become a race driver. I've got this neat little RV, and I'm thinking about installing a fax machine in it, so I can keep connected even while I'm on the road. Here's my new mantra for the future: in contact and out of reach. That's the new deal. You can contact me, but I might not be around for a while. So, what's your goal for the future? Is it to get away? Something that would serve you well in terms of a refreshing change of pace. Are there any skills you want to teach your children? I taught my girls how to swim, how to dive. What a great satisfaction it was when they'd say, "Watch me, Daddy. Look how good I am. You taught me." Here's a good phrase for you. All life seems to wish to reward its benefactor. If you take especially good care of the flowers, they will bloom especially bright for you. If you teach your children, they'll want to show off for you. "Daddy, look how good I am." All life delights in rewarding its benefactor. What classes would you like to teach? My friend Lydia Kalang, who invested just $1 20 years ago, is today a billionaire. One of her strengths is helping young parents with a little marriage counseling. Those early years can be stressful. What expertise would you wish to learn to contribute to society, to your community? Does everyone have a list of 50 now? Okay? Almost everyone. Now add a little star next to that list, signaling that you can continue it. This is just to get you started. I assure you, when you get home, you'll think of 50 additional goals that you couldn't come up with while you were here. Your list can expand and increase. Now, let's do something with this list. I want you to go over each thing and assign it a number, either a 1, 3, 5, or 10. Here's why. Look at each item and decide how long it might take to attain that goal. 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Give each item a number, predicting how long it will take. If it's less than 1 year, just call it a year. If it's more than 10, make it 10. Once you've allocated numbers, count how many funds, 3s, 5s, and 10s you have. Write down how many of each. It's interesting. How many of you have no 10-year goals? Quite a few, right? Isn't that interesting? It shows that you're not thinking that far ahead. You're more focused on the short term than the long term. If someone has no 10-year goals while another person has 14, that's a major gap in long-range thinking. That's all this exercise is for, to help you think more long-term. Now, when you fulfill goals, make sure to celebrate. It's crucial to appreciate even the tiny victories that matter to you, whether world changing or not. If it's significant to you, Celebrate it. Hopefully, some of your ambitions are family related. When the whole family reaches a goal, celebrate alongside them. Let everyone place their check mark on that goal because the family worked on it together. This produces an excitement that helps the whole family think, well, wow, if we can accomplish this, what else can we do? It's the same for you individually. When you achieve something, tick it off and celebrate. This provides you the momentum to keep going, to grab your list and say, if I can achieve this, I can do even more. Celebration creates the desire to continue increasing your goals. You also require continual goals. When the early astronauts returned from the moon, some of them struggled psychologically. Some drank too much or got into other issues. Why? Because they didn't know where to go after they had traveled to the moon. So, they later made sure that astronauts going back had plenty of new projects to keep them busy. It's the same for you and me. After you attain a goal, start a new list. After you finish that one, create another one. My father lived to be 93. You can't imagine the objectives he had. One of his aims at 92 was to get his driver's license renewed. Guess what? He got it renewed for 4 years at the age of 92. He got his driver's license renewed for 4 years. Now, he didn't live long enough to fully carry out his plans. If he had thought about it more, I believe he would have lived another 2 or 3 years simply to make sure everything was accomplished. Unbelievable. We all have objectives, but once you've achieved them, it's time to set new ones. This idea of continuously replacing old goals with new ones is crucial. The principle we covered yesterday was simple. How far should you go? As far as you can. How many books should you read? As many as you can. How many buddies should you make? As many as you can. How much should you earn? As much as you can. What should you try to be? All that you possibly can. That's the point of this exercise. To stretch you, get you thinking, get you wondering. What might be possible if I could achieve everything I wanted? Here's the next exercise. Write down the question and construct a list of your 1-year goals. Now, pick the 4 most crucial ones. If you only have 4, this is an easy exercise. But if you have more, pick the 4 most important. This is what inspired me at the age of 25. Goals for accomplishment and personal growth. Once the fire was ignited for me, it has never gone out. Since I was 25, no one has ever said, when are you going to get started? Or, when are you going to get off the couch? No one has ever said that. But since I was 25, I've heard, when are you going to slow down? You can't visit that many countries. You're going to have a heart attack and die. By the way, pause and jot down these 2 questions, especially for mature persons. They could be tough, but here they are. What's got you turned on? What's got you turned off? The first question helps you find what stimulates you, keeps you up early, makes you stay up late, and maximizes your abilities all day long. The second question helps uncover what drains your energy, keeping you from feeling the zest, vitality, and appetite for daily success. Once I started creating lists of what turned me on and off, everything changed. It was like a personal revolution, a 180-degree flip. It's easy to grow lazy when designing your day, year, or future and just hope everything works out. But let me tell you, it won't. The key is buckling down, developing lists, and maintaining this effort even after we turn out the lights and go home. One of the finest ways to keep this up is to teach it. As Jan said, recognition doesn't matter. Give others recognition, and your own self-satisfaction will be enough. Even if no one crowns you, who cares? Now, have you identified the 4 most critical 1-year goals? Here's the next exercise. This one will take a little time. Why are those 4 goals essential to you? The why is key. I'll give you more notes on that later, but for now, write a short essay on why those 4 goals are vital. Then, put a star next to the paragraph, signifying you can continue this later. This is also an excellent question to ask youngsters. When they say, "Here's what I want," ask them, why? If they can explain the why, that's powerful. Now, here's the first noga. The why gets stronger. The how gets easier. When your reason is great and powerful, the how seems to flow naturally. Without a strong enough why, how can seem impossible to figure out. Take time management. For example, if you had a strong enough rationale for your goals, you'd find a means to manage your time. You'd read books on the subject, take classes, and make improvements. But if the aim doesn't important, why bother? The bigger your why, the easier the how. You can accomplish anything. Wake up early, study any book, take any class, develop any skill. Once your why is obvious, and this is key, the stronger the meaning behind your goals, the easier the process of accomplishing them becomes. Now, think about this. If one of your ambitions is to purchase $1 million home overlooking Snake River Valley, that's a worthy goal. But ask yourself, what for? A house is merely a house with bricks, wood walls, and a roof. The item, the house, is essential, but the purpose behind it is much stronger. Write this down. Purpose is stronger than the item. $1 million home, you say. Well, it'll become the heart of all the family's activities, with all kinds of unusual people coming and going, affecting the space, and making things happen. See, now we're getting someplace. If you get that concept, it's one of the best pieces of wisdom you'll have for the day. Purpose is stronger than just owning things. It's okay to have many of things on your goal list, but constantly question yourself why you want them. Sometimes, it's useful to write it out. Here's why I want this money. Here's why I want this place. Here's why. And you'll begin to create these justifications. I'm telling you, this becomes really powerful. Now, Napoleon Hill also talks about personality. You need to cultivate a nice personality, but remember, your personality has numerous facets. One of them is your working personality, the behavior and attitude you require, especially in public. Some things may be acceptable when you're alone, but in public, where it means most, your income, establishing your business for the future, your personality matters. But remember, you cultivate your personality in secret so it can serve you effectively in public. Sometimes, we assume we can be casual with a small group and only be more careful when the audience grows. But that doesn't work. Carelessness with a few will show up when you speak to 1,000. Here's the best practice. The actual influence comes in one-on-one conversations. That's what genuinely counts. You might say, I'm only talking to 2 people. It doesn't matter much. That's when it means the most, because if you practice effectively in these times, using your personality and charisma to catch their attention, to make them listen, to get them interested, it makes a great impact. The kind of personality that makes people say, I want to be around this person. They're not like the average person I meet daily. But you've got to practice that behind the scenes, one-on-one. If you connect with one person, 3 or 5, I guarantee you, that will prepare you for speaking in front of hundreds or even thousands. Now, let's talk about the best gift you can give someone, the gift of attention. Attention is tremendously powerful. When I was young, I got the pleasure to meet Nelson Rockefeller, one of the richest individuals in America at the time. He was a strange figure, ran for vice president of the United States, and I was fortunate enough to be beside him during a news conference. Security wasn't as tight then, and I managed to go near enough to shake his hand. I answered, Mr. Rockefeller. My name is Billy Graham. What I remember most was how, even with cameras flashing and people surrounding him, he looked directly at me and said, Billy Graham, where are you from? I said, Idaho. He responded, I really enjoy Idaho. It's one of my favorite states. For just a few seconds, he gave me his undivided attention. That moment is one I'll never forget. The handshake, the attention. It was like $1 million moment. It left a lasting impression on me, and that's why I share the story. You can do the same. Learn to use your personality and influence to give people the gift of attention. Napoleon Hill also said a leader must have sympathy and empathy. We must build that early on throughout our lives. It's necessary to look at those less fortunate, to support those in need, especially now when individuals need possibilities to alter their health, their lives, and their lifestyle. This level of sensitivity and understanding motivated Mark Hughes to launch the company. He knew what it meant to be poor, to lack income, resources, or education. He didn't moan about it. Instead, he took action. He answered, I'll change my situation first, and then I'll help others who face the same challenges. It's the kind of leadership that makes a difference. Finally, a leader must have mastery of the details. As Napoleon Hill pointed out, it's true that everything might be lost owing to a few missing facts. Think of the journey to the moon. Every minute thing has to operate precisely. There are thousands of moving elements, and if even one detail is incorrect, the whole mission can fail. The mission of reaching the moon and returning safely requires that every component perform properly. You can't have only 10%, 90%, or even 80% operating. Everything has to work. And then there are backup systems in place for when something goes wrong. That level of competence and attention to detail is necessary. But here's what you must also remember in relation to Herbalife. The drama lies in the details. For instance, when someone states, I lost 30 ubs, it's a straightforward fact. But the real tale is in the details. Where were they before they discovered Herbalife? How did they feel? What were the circumstances like? Only then does the full impact come through. After dropping the weight, how do they feel now? Their self-confidence is restored. They feel better about themselves. The drama is in the details. This is true not just in weight loss stories, but in your daily life, your business, and your interactions. Master the details. This is fantastic advice from Napoleon Hill. Now here's the second crucial point. Willingness to bear full responsibility. We've all been taught, especially throughout our time with Herbalife, to assume 100% responsibility. Mark Hughes often said, what had happened to me may not have been my fault, but what I do about it is my responsibility. In his early business experiences, people harmed him. Some even ran off with the money, leaving him with the losses. But Mark realized that while he couldn't control the past, he was accountable for how he responded to it. If a farmer's crop gets devastated by a hailstorm, he wasn't responsible for the storm. But his responsibility begins after the storm, when he asks himself, what now? What can I do next? This principle is one I've preached for years. It's not what happens to you that defines your destiny. It's what you do with what happens that molds your future. People, taking full responsibility is crucial. If you're managing an organization, organizing meetings, or establishing a team, the ultimate duty belongs with you. Others may make mistakes, but the answer starts with you. Some situations may be beyond of your control, but how you manage them, the diplomacy you use, and the strategies you deploy are in your hands. You must also be responsible for your future. No one else will design it for you. No one will step in and secure your success. It's up to you to use what you've learned. Input, testimonials, teaching, and influence, and apply that to construct your life. You have the opportunity to construct a life of affluence or simply coast by. The responsibility is yours. Finally, the remaining 2 points: cooperation. One of the best lessons from Herbalife is learning how to cooperate. By working together, we can use each other's ideas, passion, input, testimonials, and drive to grow. This culture of cooperation helped Herbalife prosper in its early days. Mark assembled the team, Jerry, Doug, and others, and said, "Imagine the power of our meetings if we work together. Just think of how many lives we can affect if we collaborate." There's an old saying, 1, 2, or 3 agree. Nothing is impossible if they agree on the same goal, the same project, and the way to get there. There is no obstacle that can stop them. The nice thing about Herbalife is that we now have more than just 2 or 3. Our president's team is growing, the chairman's club is expanding, and the millionaire team is both vast and strong. The teamwork among all of us, distributors, home office staff, and teams across the world, is what makes Herbalife unstoppable. There's no limit to what we can achieve. There is no market, no country we can't reach with our fantastic narrative of triumph. Cooperation is why I'm here, sharing thoughts and notes, providing something for you to think about and discuss with others you're creating your business with. When we cooperate, we make this year a powerful one. Together, we'll reach 2 billion, 35 died, and much more. But beyond those statistics, we'll create a legacy of honor, respect, prominence, and influence. We'll feel good about the hard work we've put in and the relationships we've made. Cooperation with each other is the key to success. I want to partner with you in establishing your business. We'll all work together, supporting the Herbalife system, and realize our united vision. The billions will arrive, and with them, the stories and experiences that will make it all worthwhile.